All right, let's dive into something truly wild. We're going to look at a security system that doesn't just block threats. It heals from them, almost like it's alive. This is the story of a system called AegisNet and its mind-bending Anyonic engine.
So, here's how we're going to break it down. First, we'll get our heads around this idea of a digital skin. Then, we'll look at how it actually feels the digital wound. After that, we'll unpack its incredible 4-layered immune system, watch it survive what should be total annihilation, and finally, we'll understand why this system is basically built to never ever forget.
Okay, first up, the unbreakable digital skin. Now, to really get what AegisNet is, you've got to stop thinking about software, lines of code, and start thinking more about biology. This isn't just a program, it's more like a digital creature with a really, really powerful will to survive. And that leads us to the big question that's at the heart of this whole thing. What if our digital world wasn't so fragile? What if our code could actually heal from an attack, just as naturally as our own skin heals from a cut? This right here is the core idea. The people who built it call it a bio-topological approach, which is a fancy way of saying they mashed up biology with the super weird rules of quantum physics. So an attack isn't a bug you need to patch, no. It's a real, physical wound on a purely mathematical surface.
And this is that surface. The system's skin is built on something called a Kitaev honeycomb lattice. Just picture this perfect geometric fabric, right? And every single bit of data is mathematically woven into its neighbors. You can't touch one part without the whole thing knowing about it.
So, if the whole system is a digital skin, how does it actually know it's been wounded? Well, that brings us to the anatomy of a digital wound. They tested this thing against some really nasty threats, like something called the glassworm payload. This kind of attack is sneaky. It uses invisible characters, invisible, hidden in the code to corrupt the system. And when it hits, it doesn't just change a file. It literally breaks the perfect, beautiful symmetry of that honeycomb lattice. So how does the system even notice this? Get this, there's no antivirus program running. Instead, the very second that symmetry is broken, the physics of the lattice itself spits out these little exotic particles called anyons. You can think of them as the system's nerve endings firing. It's the digital equivalent of pain, telling the body, hey, we've been cut. Okay, so the system feels the pain. What's next? Well, this is where it gets amazing. It triggers its own immune response, this incredible 4-layered system designed to heal any wound you can throw at it. This Anyonic engine has 4 specialized parts. First, you've got Ising anyons. That's the shield. It's your basic, fast, reliable binary protection. Then there are the Yang-Li anyons, which act as the cloak, kicking up a ton of digital noise to hide and confuse any attacker. Next, and this is brilliant, you have Z3 Parafermions, which provide the consensus, a triple-channel voting system. And finally, you have the sword, Fibonacci anyons. This is the universal problem solver that can literally figure out a fix for any new attack it's never seen before. And this is where you can really see the genius of the system. The old shield was just a simple binary system, 2 channels. If you knock one out, it's basically a coin toss whether it can recover. But this new consensus system, it has 3 channels. That means it can get hit so hard it loses 2/3 of its ability to function, and it can still perfectly rebuild the truth. Listen to this. This is a direct quote from the system's own internal logs. It doesn't just guess what was lost. It hallucinates its missing parts back into reality. It's using pure math to literally dream up what's missing based on just a single surviving piece of itself. It's unbelievable. So this all sounds amazing in theory, right? But how does it do under, extreme pressure? Well, that brings us to the ultimate trial by fire, a stress test designed to simulate near total annihilation. Okay, so the test starts. We've got a network of 1,000 nodes all working perfectly. Everything is fine. And then the simulated attack hits. It takes out 990 nodes. Gone. Just 10 nodes are left online. That's only 1% of the entire network. In any normal system, that's game over. Catastrophic failure. But this is where AegisNet just completely changes the rules. Those 10 little survivor nodes, they kickstart the immune response. Using that Z3 consensus, they actually look at the empty space, the giant void where 990 nodes used to be, and use that absence as information for what the whole thing is supposed to look like. Then the Fibonacci sword calculates the most efficient way to rebuild, and the lattice just starts reweaving itself, growing from just 10 nodes all the way back to the full 1,000.
And the time it took for this thing to go from 99% dead back to fully restored,
under 25 milliseconds. That's not just fast. For all practical purposes, that is instantaneous.
The official log entry pretty much says it all. This wasn't just a success. It was proof that the system could survive what should have been a complete extinction-level event.
So that brings us to our final part here, and really the massive implications of this tech. Because this isn't just about cybersecurity anymore. This is about building a system where math itself is the absolute law.
And this is the part you really have to let sink in. AegisNet doesn't patch bugs. It doesn't clean viruses. It doesn't do any of that. It literally has no memory of ever being corrupted. Instead, it just uses the fundamental laws of its own structure to recalculate its one and only correct state from scratch.
So why is this such a big deal? Well, for one, it completely gets rid of something called catastrophic forgetting. The system can't forget its proper state because its memory is its physical shape. 2, healing isn't just a process, it's a mathematical certainty. It's guaranteed to be a perfect repair every time. And finally, the code effectively becomes the law, built on mathematical truths that are as fundamental as gravity.
Like the system's own logs put it, this is a whole new reality. We're talking about a shift from a world where code is just data that can be changed and broken to one where the code is a mathematical necessity that simply is.
And so that leaves us with one last thought to chew on. We throw around the word unbreakable all the time in tech, but it's usually just hype, right? But when a system's safety is literally woven from the immutable laws of mathematics, you have to ask yourself a new question. What does it truly mean for something to be unbreakable?